They ask you questions like, what do you wear to bed? Do you wear a pajama top, the bottoms of the pajamas, or the nightgown? Or... So I say Chanel No. 5, because it's the truth. And yet I don't want to say nude, you know, but it's the truth. No, I don't think I lie. I leave things out. I don't elaborate sometimes, but it'll be from the truth. Because otherwise it's hard to know where to start if you don't start with the truth. I never lived with my mother. My mother's first husband was named Baker. Her second husband was Mortensen, but she was long since divorced when I was born. She had, you know, mental disturbances, and she was taken away. I called every woman I would see. I'd say, oh, there's a mama. And if I see a manatee, there's a daddy. One morning I was having a bath, actually, and I referred to the woman as Mama, and she said, I'm not your mother. Don't call me mother anymore. Call me Aunt so-and-so. The one who comes here with the red hair, she's your mother. So, to learn that she was my mother was quite a shock. It was the woman with the red hair. And I says, but he's my daddy. She said, no, you call him Uncle, although they weren't my aunt and uncle. Well, I was only boarding there. They adopted the boy that they were boarding. You see, some places I was taken there at the end of the school term, and they were planning to keep me, but then after the summer they'd had enough. So then I was taken to another place, so that's why there's so many. See, I don't think there was 12, but there were quite a few. 10 counting the orphans home. I know I went to 6 different grammar schools. You know, that's before you're in the 7th grade. There was one other family I stayed with for a short time, because a woman used to have to deliver things. I don't know, her husband made things, and she was to deliver them to these places. And I used to get so car sick driving. I didn't like the world around me too much, because it was kind of grim. But I loved playing. I loved playing with the children in the neighborhood. We could imagine anything and pretend anything. But I loved to play house. And it was like, you could make your own boundaries, your own situation. Other children liked to play with me because I could think of things. You know, I'd say, now we're going to have a murder, then a divorce, and then they say, how do you think? I said, I don't know. Because then I heard that practice. I said, oh, that's what I want to be. You know, you could play. They used to take me to movies here in Hollywood. Every Saturday and Sunday, I was taken there because they worked during the week. They worked very hard, and they didn't want to be bothered with a child around the house, I think. You know, you can't blame them. They were very tired. So I was taken there in the morning and wait till the movie opened. I tried to fit my foot. My feet prints are there now, but I would try to, you know, I never could get my feet in there. My feet were always too big. For 10 cents, I would go in, sit in the first row, and I watched all kinds of movies like Cleopatra with Claude Colbert. That I remembered very well. I'd sit there and I'd see it over and over and over and over again. Till late at night. I was supposed to come out at dark, but of course I didn't know when it was dark. That was when I was very small. When I was 7 years old, my favorite was Jean Harlow. And the reason why she was my favorite, because she had white hair and I had white hair. And I dreamed of having golden hair, but instead mine was white. So when she had white hair, I felt close to her. And Clark Gable, I'm sure he won't mind if I say it, I used to always think of him as my father. I pretended that he was my father. I never pretended anyone was my mother. I don't know why. But I always pretended he was my father. I would go in my room and I would act out every part. Only I would act out before that happened or after, and I would act out all the parts. What he said and what she said and what he felt and she felt, and usually be sad. And then suddenly I was taken to the orphan's home. I was only 9 or 10. And I put my feet down on the sidewalk and they had to drag me in. I said, I'm not an orphan. And then later some people said, well, it's better you forget about your mother. I said, but where's my mother? They said, she's dead. Sit up in the window and cry because I'd look over and I'd see RKO, and I knew my mother had worked there and she'd been a cutter there, and all the kids were asleep. Grace used to come to the orphanage and take me out sometimes. Well, she was my legal guardian, and she once worked as a film editor, and she had been my mother's best friend. I could put on her lipstick. I was only 9 or 10, and she would take me someplace to have my hair curled, which was unheard of because I had straight hair. Things like that meant a great deal to me. I cleaned that dormitory where I slept. Oh, everything had to be perfect, you know. You swept and then you dusted everything. We had a bed and a chair. We had a locker downstairs. Also the kitchen. Oh, yeah, you could earn money there. I washed 100 plates, 100 cups, spoons, and forks. And you made 5 cents a month. And they took 1 penny for Sunday school. So you had 1 penny left. So you hope you can buy your friend or friends some little thing at Christmas. Well, I complained bitterly to Grace, who was my guardian. There were these people who took me for a while. Grace was financially unable to care for me, but I'm very grateful that they at least assumed the responsibility, because I could have just been kept there until I'm 18. The whole world, which was always closed to me, you know, I just felt like I was on the outside of the world. And suddenly, when I was 11, everything opened up. Kids in school. Well, it's true, mostly they were boys, but even the girls paid a little attention to you just because they thought, she's to be dealt with. For instance, I had this long walk to school, 2.5 miles to school, 2.5 miles back. Yeah, I'll tell you, it was just sheer pleasure. Every fellow honked his horn, and I'd wave back. I thought, gee, what happened? The world became friendly. It opened up to me. The newspaper boys used to come around to where I lived, and here I was, 11 and 12, hanging from the limb of the tree. And then some of them would bring a friend along, and they'd all pull their bicycles up around the tree, and I would ask the boys, I said, can I ride your bicycle now? And they said, sure. And then I'd go zooming, riding down the block, laughing, riding, and they'd all stand around and wait till I came back. But I loved the wind because it felt like it caressed me. Grace, who was my guardian, married this man younger than herself, and he had 3 children. And I think she felt that her responsibility was to her husband naturally and to his children. I liked singing, athletics, English. I hated arithmetic. I never had my mind on it. I was always dreaming out the window. First time was at the orphanage, and then later in my teens I studied. They elected me secretary of the English class. Then I say, minutes of the last meeting. Oh, it's terrible. I was 15 turning 16. When marriage took place, I was just turned 16. Grace arranged it. She and her husband were going to West Virginia, and they were going to put me in a home, or,